Yeah.
He's contacted me like 4 times. So when that happened, I
These are all Kennedy people, right?
I think so.
Yes. Okay. I want to sit amongst the Kennedy people.
Ready? This way. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Of course.
But if you don't ever know, DM me. Listen, put it on Instagram. Okay. All right. Creating traffic jam. I'm gonna get
said that she's contacted me 4 different times. I'm like, so people are like,
The Alliance for Deutschland,
I gotta film this man.
no.
He's going to speak today, right? We have guest speakers, so that's got to be one of them. And I don't want to
and then
interrupt
I went through
him.
this whole thing with my supervisor and that because he saw me one day. And then
I'm
talked
way
to me,
too excited
and
to
then
be here.
He basically,
Are you
I sent this
excited
thing
to be
requesting
here?
exemption for testing.
yes,
Yeah,
He wrote back
100%.
tell
to
me
like 3
something.
paragraphs.
Yes,
It
tell me.
definitely comes
Okay.
came from like a lawyer. But
We've
in
had a
the
lot
third
of talk
paragraph,
in the
it says,
MAHA
"And because
movement
of this,
about eliminating food dyes and getting rid of the geoengineering, the glyphosate, the pesticides, that's all wonderful. But if we don't stop the injections, we're overlooking an important factor in our health. There are so many adjuvants and so many things in these shots that are doing us no favors, and the science backs it up. That's why I'm here.
How do we get I guess we can.
Yeah.
I love that jacket. Is that gorgeous? Come on. Sit down. This, you can sit here. You looking for a seat? Are you looking for a seat?
No, I'm looking for my husband. He'd say he needs a seat.
I love your jacket.
Istanbul.
Really? It's gorgeous. Look at this jacket. I love it. I'm going to take a picture of it. Let me grab that. All right.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hearing of the permanent subcommittee investigations that will come to order. I want to welcome everybody here. I appreciate your attendance in the audience. I certainly appreciate the time and effort that witnesses put into their testimony and their time coming here traveling and spending the afternoon with us. I would like to welcome Ranking Member Blumenthal, all the members, new and old. Senator Kim, thanks for showing up. To this, the first hearing of the Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations in the 119th Congress. I look forward to working with all of you as we conduct oversight investigations to uncover and expose the truth on issues that are important to the American people. My hope is our work will be largely nonpartisan. And I use that word specifically, nonpartisan. There should be nothing partisan about revealing the truth. That was the subcommittee's experience in the last Congress under Chairman Blumenthal, as we conducted bipartisan investigations into the assassination attempts on President Trump and the Coast Guard's cover-up of sexual abuse, and attempted to obtain information the government has withheld from the 9/11 families. In addition to the subcommittee's bipartisan record, its reputation for conducting thorough investigations spans decades. Since the 1940s, this subcommittee has been the epicenter of major congressional oversight efforts. I hope to use the subcommittee to build on that legacy by bringing much-needed transparency to the public, revealing the truth, and exposing wrongdoing. But it won't be easy. Wrongdoers are very good at covering their tracks, and we are already aware of allegations suggesting document destruction and purposeful evasion of FOIA. Quick little aside, I do want to tell members and members of the audience, this is not going to be a standard U.S. Senate hearing. I think it'll start out that way, but I was here early enough on the subcommittee with Senator Levin, for example. And Senator Levin would come with binders like we have of over 2,000 documents. That was just his binder for the hearing, and they'd go all day long. This is about thorough investigation to uncover the truth. So again, I'm going to encourage the members, we'll have timing on the first round of questions, but But if it's apparent that you're interested in this, if it's apparent that you've listened to the testimony, read the testimony, and you have more appropriate questions, I'll allow time to do it. Now, it'll be at my discretion, but I'll be very generous to serious types of questions. Now, the title of today's hearing is The Corruption of Science and Federal Health Agencies, How Health Officials Downplayed and Hid Myocarditis and Other Adverse Events Associated with COVID-19 Vaccines. I also want to take a moment to apologize, particularly to the vaccine injured. Because I know there was an awful lot of expectation that as soon as I obtained this chairmanship, that we'd be holding hearings immediately in January and February. And that was what my hope was. It didn't pan out that way because as dedicated as Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is to transparency in HHS, that's hard to achieve. And so it still has been difficult to get the documents. I think we finally got enough documents to certainly demonstrate in this case with myocarditis that the federal government was well aware of it, downplayed the severity, and hid what they actually found. So again, that's what this hearing is about. That's what about the report that we're issuing in conjunction with this hearing is about. As chairman of the full committee, I held multiple hearings in the first year of the pandemic that opened my eyes to the capture and corruption of federal health agencies and scientific research. So much of our miserably failed response to COVID made no sense. Masking, devastating shutdowns, the sabotage of early treatment, rapid approval of remdesivir, and the maniacal reliance on the COVID-19 injections. I use that word purposefully as well, injections, they're not standard vaccines, as the only way to end the pandemic. As ranking member of this subcommittee, I was unable to interest the subcommittee or full committee chairs in joining my oversight of our pandemic response. So instead of formal hearings, I held public events, giving those injured by the COVID-19 injection a platform to appeal to federal health officials and the public for help. I also provided opportunities for eminently qualified doctors and medical researchers who disagreed with our pandemic response to offer second opinions. More often than not, those who spoke up were vilified, censored, and suffered various forms of retribution and retaliation. Fortunately, the retaliation did not deter them, and they continued to speak out. Even better, they were joined by others. Some of those individuals are testifying today or are in the audience. I want to personally thank them for their courage and persistence. Today I'm releasing an interim report that is based in large part on documents that were obtained by individuals who filed Freedom of Information FOIA requests over the last several years. These documents, obtained by reporters and private citizens, contain heavy redactions applied by the Biden administration. Yet, despite these obstructive efforts, these individuals initially raised awareness of Biden's administration's failure to immediately warn the public about myocarditis and other serious adverse events linked to the COVID-19 injections. I want to today credit the tenacious reporting of Brenda Bellotti, Ed Berkovich, Brian Hooker, Amy Kelly, Zachary Stieber, and Naomi Wolf. I know this hearing in particular was based on what we saw in the Pfizer papers and the 17-page talking points memo we'll talk about later. And again, that was the good work of Naomi Wolf and Amy Kelly and their crowdsourcing of the Pfizer papers. How do you go through millions of pages? But I also want to thank the individuals associated with React 19, the Informed Consent Action Network, ICANN, the book, The Pfizer Papers, as well as the reporters at Epoch Times, The Defender, Just the News, The Daily Cloud, and many others who worked persistently to expose the truth. Now, I actually have a quite a bit longer opening statement, which I'll ask you in the record. But what I want to do right now is, in a more succinct fashion, go through an abbreviated timeline as it relates to the myocarditis issue. Now, after facing 4 years of the Biden administration's efforts to undermine the public's access to information in my oversight work, I immediately issued a subpoena to HHS, where I became chairman of this committee. The subpoena records I am releasing today, which are discussed in the interim report, do not contain FOIA redactions, and will finally provide the public a more complete understanding of the Biden administration's awareness of the risks of myocarditis following COVID-19 injection. So now here's a brief timeline. On February 28, 2021, Israeli health officials notified CDC, quote, of of large reports of myocarditis, particularly in young people following the administration of the Pfizer vaccine. And that's February 28, 2021. 4,812 deaths, 1,736 or 36